And God said, Behold, I have given you every herb-bearing seed. To you it shall be for food. Genesis 1:29. Man did eat angels' food. He sent them meat to the full. Psalm 78:25. Everyday Manna with Lisa.
Hi everybody, and welcome to Everyday Manna. Today we are going to make a salsa baked chicken, and to go alongside that we're going to make a parsley and lime rice dish, and for dessert we're going to have one of my absolute favorite things in the world, and that is peach shortcakes with fresh delicious peaches. So let's get started. Now I'm going to start with the chicken, and this is one of those recipes that works in the oven or in your crock pot. If you're going to do it in your crock pot, I probably would use the bone-in pieces because that helps prevent the drying out over a long period of time. But for today, I'm going to use boneless, skinless chicken breasts. Now you could use thighs if you wanted to. You could do this with legs. You could do it with whatever your favorite cut of chicken is. I just happen to prefer the white meat, but you could do it, mix it, or you could do whatever you wanted. So I have 6 boneless, skinless chicken breasts that I've just laid in a baking dish. This is like a 9x13 baking dish. Got my oven preheated to 350 degrees. And the first thing I'm going to do is mix it. I've got a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper mixed in this little dish, kind of one-step sprinkling, if you will. I use 3 parts salt to 1 part pepper, if you're wondering. And I generally will keep a mixture mixed beside my stove, so when I'm cooking I can just reach in and get one thing instead of 2 different things. But you can do them separately if you want. Then I've got some dry cumin, some ground cumin rather. It's always dry, it's a seed. And I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of cumin over top of my chicken, and I'm only doing one side. Just want to give that chicken some wonderful flavor, because I do find that especially chicken breasts can kind of be bland if you're not careful and not, season them properly. They can be bland, but they also work as a great medium, if you will, to transfer flavor to. So on top of the cumin, my hands are wet there, I'm gonna add some chili powder. Now this is just the chili powder blend, just a little bit, not a whole lot. And you really don't even have to do this part if you don't want to. You can just use the salsa. But I find it adds just a little bit of flavor, a little extra layer of goodness. Then on top of all of that, I'm just going to take a jarred salsa and I'm going to pour it over top evenly of my chicken. Now you can use whatever kind of salsa you like, mild, hot, whatever you prefer. I'm going to take a spoon and I'm just going to kind of, even that out a little bit. And what's going to happen is as this bakes, the chicken, of course, is going to release its juices. It's going to mix with that salsa, and it's going to make a wonderful sauce that we can serve over top of our chicken and rice. So that's the point behind this. You want to take a sheet of aluminum foil if your baking dish doesn't have a cover, and mine doesn't. You want to seal that in. You want to bake this at 350 degrees for about, 30 to 35 minutes. Middle rack of your oven is fine. If you're using chicken tenders, and you absolutely could use chicken tenders with that, you would want to cook them for about 20 to 25 minutes. If you're doing it in your crock pot, just do the very same thing I did. Lay the chicken in the bottom of your crock pot, season it up, put your salsa over it, put it on low for about 4 to 6 hours on low, because chicken cooks very quickly, and then your dinner's ready when you come home, or you can bake it in the oven, whatever you want to do. So while our chicken is cooking, let's get started on the peaches. Now in the summertime, when peaches come in season, I could eat my weight in them. When they are ripe, juicy, you know, the kind that when you bite into them, they drip down your chin. So, so good. Recently, I was able to get some Georgia peaches, and I ate myself probably, I bought two at two different occasions, a week apart. The baskets, I don't know how many were in there, but easily 5 times the amount I've got right now. Ate every one of them myself. Just couldn't quit eating them. I adore peaches. Now, for me, I kind of like the skin on peaches, but if you don't, you can peel them, or if you want to use a paring knife, or you can drop them in boiling water just like you do tomatoes for about 30 seconds and cut a little X, and then the skin will slip right off. I don't mind the skin myself, so if you want to peel them, you can. These are Freestone, which are my favorites. Cut them in half, and then cut them in slices. And I'm gonna put them in, you know, and you gotta taste them. They are so good. These are South Carolina peaches, fresh peaches. In the summer, when you can get fresh ones, use fresh, if they're good. Otherwise, frozen are fine. And you know, a good hint at the grocery store, smell the peach. If it doesn't smell like a peach, it's not going to taste like a peach. But when they smell juicy and ripe, oh my goodness, there's just nothing any better. I adore them. So I've got, I don't know, 6 or 7 peaches because I want to be sure to have, I'm just doing this and not showing you. Cut your peach, take a little small paring knife, cut around the pit, just like this. Lightly twist, it comes apart. And then to get your pit out, if they're Freestone. Now let me explain real quick what that means. There's cling, and then there's Freestone. Cling peaches, it's not as easy to get that pit out. The flesh of the peach doesn't separate. But when they're Freestone, look there, it just pops right out. If they're cling, you'll have to just do this part and cut around the pit. And just discard the pit. And again, if you want to peel them, you can. I'm going to use these in shortcakes. So what I'm going to need to do is make a little juice. Well, fruit has natural juices in them, natural sugars, and that one don't want to come out so easy. So I'll cut a couple slices off. Great demonstration, though, for cling. You would do this thing for cling. Now it should just come right out. But anyway, I want to make like a sauce to, kind of penetrate the biscuit that we're going to make. So I'm going to mix these peaches when I get them sliced up with just a tiny bit of sugar and let them what they call macerate. What's going to happen is that sugar is going to mix with the juices of the peach, and it's going to make a sauce, if you will, just some juices to come out to help us on our shortcakes. Now I could just eat this whole bowl right there, right now for breakfast. Would not need another thing. If you've never had a fresh peach, now that one, if you see a little spot like that in your peach that's bruised, peaches are very perishable. Just kind of cut that out. You don't want to eat that part. Peaches are very fragile. That's why they pick them hard and ship them, because they bruise so easily. But if you've got a local farmer's market where you can get, or a little fruit stand where you can get fresh peaches, and they're good. And these actually just came from the grocery store this morning. When I went grocery shopping, they had them, and I just smelled them, and they smelled wonderful. And so I knew they were going to be good because they smelled good. So I just bought mine at the grocery store. I'm going to take my peaches, and that was about 6 or 8 peaches, and I'm going to mix it with just a little tiny bit of sugar, a couple of tablespoons, not for sweetness necessarily, but just to help make that sauce. And then gently, and I do mean gently, peaches are very fragile. Just toss that together, set it aside, refrigerate it, whatever you want to do. I just leave mine out on the counter. And that'll kind of start breaking down the cell wall of the peach and make that juice. I'm going to take a quick break. When I come back, we're going to work on the shortcake part of our wonderful peach shortcakes. I'll be back in just a minute. Hi, and welcome back. Now, our peaches are macerating, our chicken is in the oven, and now it's time to get started on the shortcake. Now you could, if you wanted to, just buy a pre-made pound cake, which I do often, or angel food cake, and slice that and serve the peaches over that. You can get those little, they're like a chiffon cake, the little round, they're yellow shortcakes. Buy the fruit generally in the grocery store and do that. Or you can make the shortcakes yourself, which is what we're going to do today. This is so easy, and honestly, mixed with the peaches in this case or strawberries, it just is fabulous. It just tastes so good. I have in here just some, the baking mix that you buy in the store. There's many brands, and I'm going to add about, this is one of those things. This doesn't have to be too awfully precise. About 2/3 of a cup of milk, and it really depends on the humidity of the day as to whether you're going to need a little more milk or baking mix if you get it too wet. And I am going to need a little more milk in mine because I didn't add quite enough milk, but that's okay. You can use half and half or cream. I'm just using 2% milk. I'm going to add about another 1/3 of a cup because I'm going to make a lot of shortcakes because I love these things and I eat them just on their own with a little bit of jam. It's just wonderful. This is just the prepared baking mix that you buy in the store, or you can make your own. I'm actually going to show you one day how to make your own. Add just a touch more milk. You want a good stiff dough is what you're going for, and I'll show you when we're done here. Now I'm going to add some melted butter. About 4 tablespoons or so of just good old melted butter. Stir that in. That's it. I'll show you how to get them going. We're going to multitask here. I've got a pot of water boiling right there, and I am just going to add just the bags of boiling the bag rice. That's white rice. That's going to be for our rice dish. So I'm just telling you what I'm doing here. That needs to go for 10 minutes. Lid off. Don't put your lid back on or you're going to have a mess on your stove. So back to our shortcakes. Now on my sheet pan, I've got it lined with parchment paper. And a good little hint for you, if your parchment paper sometimes tends to curl, drives me nuts. So what I do is I spray my pan with a nonstick baking spray, lay my parchment down, and it kind of makes it stick down to the pan. So that's a good way to keep that parchment from, curling up on you. I like to take 2 spoons and drop my drop biscuits about the size of, I would say 3 inches in diameter, circles, about 3 inches apart or so, 2 to 3 inches. They're going to spread a little bit. Just kind of, I like to flatten them out just a bit. I love these things. That's a little much. You don't have to be precise. If you want to roll this out, add a little more of the baking mix, roll it out to about, 3/4 of an inch thick, and then cut it out with a cutter if you want to do that. But this is just home cooking, and it's rustic, and I think that's what adds to the appeal. Because you're going to split these anyway to put the peaches in the middle, or crumble them. Sometimes I crumble them into a bowl. Depends on where I'm eating it. And I'm just going to tell you, I'm guilty of something. I love this for breakfast. I just love it for breakfast. So I will always make more at home than what we're going to eat for dessert and have it the next morning, because I just think it's fabulous for breakfast. Even if I don't have any fruit left over, I'll take these biscuits, split them, and put some, orange marmalade or raspberry preserves or whatever kind of grape jelly, whatever you like. Got enough, I think, to do one more little one. Let's try to even them out so they bake evenly. This needs to bake at the same temperature your chicken, 350, about 10 minutes or so. Now, what I like to do is take, you don't have to do this part if you don't have any. You could use regular granulated sugar, but I love to sprinkle the tops. This is why I put it on parchment. With its Demerara sugar or sugar in the raw. Let me put some in my hand so you can see what I'm talking about. It's a coarse grained brown sugar is what it is basically. It's wonderful. And it just adds a good crunch to the top of your biscuits. It makes it pretty, but it makes it delicious. So I just sprinkle about a teaspoon over each one, as much or as little as you like. You don't have to do this. It just adds an extra layer of goodness. I like it. And then pat them down just a little bit to kind of get that sugar to adhere. Make them just a little more rounded with your finger or a spoon. That one needs a little more sugar. Don't want to leave him out there. And that's it. They're going to go in the same oven about 350 degrees for 10 to 15 minutes until they're golden and cooked through. We're just going to put them on the right underneath the chicken, or you could put you rack above it. It would be fine. Just watch them if you're lower in the oven so the bottoms don't get too brown. I'm going to just get cleaned up here and get ready. Our rice will be done, and when we come back, we're going to make the parsley rice. Our chicken will be done, and then the best part, we're going to get to eat. I'll be back in just a few minutes. All right, now we're going to start on our rice, and in this skillet I have about a tablespoon of butter that has melted, and I'm going to add just a touch of olive oil, probably about, I don't know, 2 tablespoons or so, or teaspoons, excuse me, of olive oil. And I've got 1 medium onion that I'm going to saute. We're going to flavor up our rice is what we're going to do. So I'm just going to dice this. This is not the best knife in the world, but we'll make it work. Just dice up your onion, and then we're going to lightly saute it. I don't want it to be golden, I just want it to be softened. I'm going to flavor up our rice. Now I cooked the boil in the bag rice, and I went ahead and did all 4 bags because I'm serving a lot of people. But you can absolutely cut this down if you just want to do 2 servings. Now I'm going to add that to my skillet and lightly saute the rice. This is going to be a parsley and lime flavored rice. Now if you like cilantro, you could absolutely do cilantro, which would be very Mexican in its flavor. I just personally do not like cilantro, so I use parsley. But if you do like it, by all means, use it. Now I'm just going to let that kind of saute. Ooh, makes me want to sneeze. I drained my rice and cut the bags open and just put it in this bowl with about a teaspoon of rice and a little bit of butter just to keep the grains of rice separate. And I've just got it covered to keep it warm. Now, to that, we're going to add some lime flavor, and I'm going to zest 2 of my limes because I've got a lot of rice. If you've got just maybe 2 bags of rice, probably just want to zest 1. I have scrubbed these because the zest on your citrus fruit really does have a very good flavor. It adds a lot. You just want to use a microplane, and you don't want to get the white part. You only want the green. So good. Get most of it. You don't have to get it all, just most of it. But make sure you do scrub your limes or buy organic and then still rinse them. Because sometimes, you know, your fruit has that waxy coating on there. I love rice. And I think, you know, in America, I don't think we use rice enough. Rice is a staple food for much of the world, and there's so many different kinds of rice. My favorite is basmati. Oh, I love basmati rice and jasmine rice. It's so good. So good. Now, let's just kind of set this to the side for a moment. And we will always take your lemons and your limes and do this. I've got 4 limes, but I want to see how juicy they are. I know I'm going to need 2. If they're not very juicy, we might need to do another one. Let's just see. I always use my little reamer, or not always, but most of the time. And I do it over a little strainer into a bowl because I don't want any seeds and I don't really want any of the pith or the flesh of the lime. I just want the juice. These are pretty juicy. This one is anyway. I broke my little contraption that you squeeze together. I need to get another one of those. Those are handy little tools to have in your kitchen. If you watch this show often, you've seen me break it. Squeeze a little too hard. Just some lime. Lime is very prevalent in Mexican cooking, and this is kind of a take on a Mexican dish. I think I do need another one. Let's do one more. I don't need the zest, just the juice. Do this. What this does is kind of breaks down those walls. That's my timer for my chicken. So that tells me that chicken's about ready to go. Now, when your chicken is almost cooked through, you want to remove the cover and add, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. Now, let me show you why I use the strainer. You see all the little tiny seeds down in there and the extra little flesh? We don't want that, so I'm just going to throw that away, and then I just want my juice. I'm going to add on top of my chicken a queso cheese. You could use Monterey Jack, you could use Colby, you could use cheddar, you could use Colby cheddar, you could use any kind of cheese you like. I just am using, you can get it pre-shredded up, it's just quesadilla cheese. And come with me and I'm going to show you what we're going to do. I'm going to just lightly, I took the cover off just a minute ago. Be careful because that's hot. I'm just going to sprinkle some of the cheese over top. About 2 cups, and let that melt onto the chicken. Oh, queso is a great melting cheese. But again, you could use whatever kind of cheese you like. Let that go for about another 5 minutes and that'll be done. Now it's time to finish up our rice. My onion is sauteed, just tender, that's exactly what I want. Gonna uncover my rice. Gonna add the lime juice. You could use lemon too if you wanted. My zest. And my onions. And I'm gonna chop up some parsley. My store this morning did not have flat leaf, so I'm using curly. I prefer the flat, but you can use curly leaf if you want to. Or you could use cilantro again if you like cilantro. I'm just going to chop this parsley real quick. All right, now all I did was chop that parsley, and I'm just going to stir that in to the rice with the onions, the lime zest, and the lime juice. Look how good that is. Oh, it's so delicious. Now, what you want to do is put a bed of that rice down. And here is our chicken. Let's move our peaches out of the way. Here's the chicken, and oh, does that not just look yummy? So what you need to do is take a piece of your chicken, and I have the wrong tool. Let me get some of this here. Take a piece of your chicken, with all that gooey cheese. Yummy. Place that on top of your rice, and then all of that has made this wonderful sauce that you can just spoon over top of your chicken. And there you go. That is a meal right there. Yum, I can't wait to eat. Now, our shortcakes are done. This is what they look like cooked. See that beautiful sugar on top just makes this crunchy little, so good. Now I'm just split this in half. I'm gonna add some of our peaches, what has been left in the bowl, because I have to tell you, I've been snacking. And I just freely admit it. And then you can take some homemade whipped cream, or I just use the store-bought whipped cream, and then put your top on there, or you could crumble that biscuit, and there you go, is a delicious, fresh, easy peach shortcake. There you go, there's a wonderful salsa chicken with the lime parsley rice and a peach shortcake for dessert. Try these recipes. Let me know. Thanks for joining with me, and I'll see you next time on Everyday Manna.
Thank you for watching Everyday Manna with Lisa. This program is made possible by viewers like you. Your support is continually needed to keep Christian programming on the air. Please send your best financial gift to Living Faith Television in care of Everyday Manna, P.O. Box 1867, Abingdon, Virginia 24212.